Shalom everyone, and welcome to another episode of Set Apart Cooking. My name is Rebbetzin Juliana Berkson, and alongside me today is Rebbetzin Joanne Mitchell. I am super excited to have Rebbetzin Joanne with me today because she will be demonstrating how to make two unleavened recipes, one being unleavened bread and the other unleavened tortilla wraps. We are demonstrating this so that you are able to have unleavened breads for the festival of haMatzot. If you are interested in knowing more about the festival of haMatzot, which Yahweh has commanded for us to observe, you can go to our m.t.o.i YouTube channel, where Rabbi Steve Berkson has done many videos on the festival of Passover and haMatzot. Two of them that will answer your question about leavening is found in our Passover Q&A, Part 1 and Part 2. Alongside that, Parsha Pearls has a special feast edition for Passover and haMatzot, easy for me to say, where we actually show the recipe for unleavened bread. All right, so I guess we'll start with saying that we washed our hands to prepare for this like all good cooks should do. And so now we're going to show you what ingredients go in unleavened bread.
First, we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and I generally work with olive oil because it's much lighter tasting and
I love that
it's healthier. It's a healthier oil to work with. So we're going to put in 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons. There's 1, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Next, we're going to put in 8 tablespoons of honey, which actually,
right here,
it actually, when you measure it out, it's 1/4 of a cup of honey. It makes your bread real nice and sweet.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
Your children will eat it. So I know I always have problems with my children wanting to eat unleavened bread because it's not as tasty as regular bread.
Yum.
Okay, and then we will put in 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I use the pink Himalayan salt because it's a healthier salt, but you can use regular salt if you wish. Now, when you're measuring with any kind of a measuring equipment, you always want to make sure that you measure exactly what your recipe calls for. Because I have noticed many people will over-measure their stuff and then they'll say, this doesn't taste good. Mm-hmm. And it's because they have too much of something in it. And so now the next thing that we're going to add in is going to be 3 tablespoons of butter.
Which we've already measured out.
And then we're going to put in 1 egg.
1 egg, already ready. I'm a good assistant.
An egg. 1 egg. And then I'm going to stir this up. Mix it up. Get it nice and blended as much as we can. Now your butter isn't going to blend as well in there. It's going to be kind of chunky looking, but right. That's okay. That's all right. That's how it should look. I try to break it down just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to put the flour in. And now when you put your flour in, and this is all-purpose flour.
How much of it is that?
This is 5 cups of flour, all-purpose flour. You're going to just put it in a little bit at a time like this. And then you're going to mix it.
So Rebbetzin, Joanne, I know your story about working in a bakery and all your cooking experience. Would you care to share that with us today?
Well, my parents had 9 children.
Do you want me to keep?
Add some more. My parents had 9 children. And my father's brother owned a bakery. And my mother decided that was a great way for all 4 of her daughters to learn how to bake. So I learned how to bake in a bakery. And my mother, she sent us to the bakery when we got 5 years old. So I started baking when I was 5 in the bakery.
Wow, that's young. What'd you make in the bakery?
Well, I remember the first day I was there, I was excited because I wanted to eat everything. But the first thing my uncle had me do was, okay, now I want to put the water in.
Okay.
We're going to put the water in. It's getting too thick. Yeah, just dump it all in.
Cold water.
The whole thing.
There we go.
Now 1 cup of cold water. So the first thing my uncle had me do was sift flour onto donuts. And I remember that it was difficult because for me, being 5, standing on a stool, that was hard for me to keep squeezing that like that. But I managed to get it done, and that's what I did. And I did that for probably about an hour and a half. But working in a bakery makes you strong.
Oh, yes, it does. You want some more?
Yep, add some more.
That's starting to look really good.
Now, I have been baking since I was 5, and right now I'm 71, so I've been baking for a while. But on top of that, I became Torah pursuant when I was in 1972. And so I've been making unleavened bread since then, and that's 50 plus years. And I have several different recipes, but today we're going to do this one.
I would say that makes her an expert on making unleavened bread. Well, this is great. This is actually my first time learning how to make unleavened bread, so I'm right there with all of you learning how to make this.
Okay, now, go ahead, put some more.
Okay, we're almost there.
Now it's getting thick enough that we can start kneading it. Because right now I was just mixing it. Now I'm going to start kneading it.
So what does kneading mean?
That means you're going to just try to get all of this flour mixed together in the dough. So it looks like a dough.
Right. And so you have to use your hands for that?
Oh, yeah. Yes, we do. It's difficult. I don't know how else you would be able to knead that unless you put it in a machine.
Okay, there's the rest of it.
It's just a matter of taking your hands and just keep scrunching it together like that and turning it. You got to keep turning it because to get it in there evenly. See, pushing it together and everybody has their own way. This is just how I learned to do it. It's getting there. See how it's turning into a dough?
Yes.
It's nice and soft. You want your dough to be soft and not tough. And to do that, especially with regular bread, because it is leavened, you want to be careful about kneading it too much, because if you do, your bread will be tough. You're going to want to keep it nice and soft, then you don't manipulate it any more than you have to.
Okay. I can see how this can be fun, doing this alongside your mother.
Now this here it's too dry to mix.
Right.
So we're just going to do this one. This really needs some water in it. Look at it. It's just falling apart. Just give me a little bit more water, just a little. Here, let me show you. Now see, now we're going to do this. See how that's getting better? It's getting the the moisture is being pushed into the rest of the flour.
Right.
And that's how it's getting to be a better dough.
Yes.
Just put a little, just a little. See how it's getting better?
Yeah.
You add water in it, just a little.
I'm actually glad this is happening because this will happen in your home. So what do you do when it's a little bit dry? Measurements aren't always exact, so you might need to add a little more water.
Okay, now put a little more because it's still kind of dry. This happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm always very skeptical about putting too much stuff in because you can't take it out.
Exactly.
But if you don't have enough in, you can add to it. You can add it to where it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
See? That
Yes.
fixed it.
That looks a whole lot better.
All right, now the bowl is done. So now we're going to do this. We're going to take this. We're going to make like little round balls. Now, if you want to, you could take this and roll it out with a rolling pin and set it on the pan and just bake it like that. But I like to make these little patties, individual patties, because they're like little pieces of bread.
Right.
And when you're having your meal, if you have a soup or a stew or something on that order, it's good to eat with your. And if you're not having that and you're having something else, it's really good to push your food on your fork if you need to, and not use your finger. You want to help?
Sure.
So
they don't have to be perfect looking.
no. However they come out, they just should look like a hamburger patty.
Well, I like mine.
Or a slider like that one.
There we go. Well, I like mine well done.
And I like them a variety of sizes because, like if you have a big man, they're going to want a bigger piece of bread. If you have a child, you just want to give them a little piece of bread. So I kind of like them different sizes.
Is there a thickness that you're looking for?
Well, you probably about maybe a fourth of an inch.
Okay.
Would be about the right size. So you just roll it in a bowl like that, and then just press it. And this dough that I made, it should make like about 12 pieces.
12, okay.
But the recipe will tell you that, but I always come up with a different number somehow.
Well, I can't wait to taste these. How long does it take to cook them?
Now we're going to bake these at 400 for between 10 and 12 minutes. And they'll be kind of white looking, and then they might get a little golden brown around the edges, which is normal. Okay. And then they're done. And you can put, use whatever you want on them. You could put butter, peanut butter, jelly, Nutella, anything you can spread can go on there. And there are different kinds of spreads like pimento spread we've put on there, cream cheese, tuna, anything you want that you can spread could go on these.
There we go.
There. Now all we have to do is put them in the oven and bake them for 10 to 12 minutes, and you can grease your pans if you want, but I prefer using the parchment paper because it's easier to get them off the pan.
Yeah.
So.
All right, here we go. All right, and so while our unleavened breads are baking in the oven for 10 minutes or so, Rebbetzin Joanne is going to show us how to make the unleavened tortilla wraps, which are super easy to make and only have a few simple ingredients. All right, Rebbetzin Joanne, tell us how to make tortilla wraps.
Okay, well first we're going to start with 4 cups of flour. And put it all in. And then you need 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, we're going to put that in. And then we're going to mix it up so it's blended in there really good. And now we're going to put in some shortening. I have a half a cup of shortening. That's going to be, you can use a cutter if you like. I'm just old school. I just used to doing it with my hands here. So we're going to cut this in like this. And this here, a good way is to just rub it like this and right into your flour. So it's not, you don't have any like clumps or lumps of shortening in there anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like making a pie dough in a sense.
Right. So I just want to say that the shortening that Rebbetzin Joanne is using is a vegetable shortening, as we know that there are different types of shortenings out there.
I always buy the shortening, it has an OU on it. So I know some shortenings don't, and you got to watch Crisco because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, and that's really big. That comes down to where it was produced or where they made it. Some places they have a kosher mark on it and some don't, but when I buy it in the store, I always look, every time I look to see if it's on there. Because I have a couple times bought it and then noticed, oh gee, it's not there. So I'm always very faithful about making sure that it has a OU on it. Now you see how that's getting real nice and fine? I can run that through my fingers and I can feel there's no little pieces of shortening there. This is all flour. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this is hot water. I'm going to pour the whole thing in. And now we're going to make a dough. See, it's already turning to dough.
So when you say hot water, do you mean hot, like boiling hot, or just warm?
Well, it can be anywhere between like hot and like just a warm water, like a lukewarm water. But the hotter it is, see, the better it goes, the better dough you're going to get.
Oh.
And you notice on the last recipe, I used cold water. And some people might ask, why do you use hot water and then cold water? Cold water and hot water. Well, when I made the other recipe, I had oil in it. This has shortening in it. So this helps to break down the shortening, the heat from the water. So we're almost done with kneading this. I love making this. It's so nice and soft. Cushy. It's nice and cushy.
It's always fun when you can get your hands into it.
Yeah. Now I'm going to finish this so it's nice, so everything is blended really well. The flour is all nice and blended. Rolling it this way. There, now see the nice dough I got? It's a beautiful dough.
It is.
Now we're going to press it down a little.
Okay.
And now the next thing we will do is we're going to start making them balls again.
Okay.
And we're going to roll them. If you want to help, you can.
I'd love to help.
Rebbetzin. See, now you're going to roll them like this.
Okay.
All around so that they're nice and round. And once you get it so that there's not a bunch of cracks like that, you push them together. And then you're going to press this out a little bit like this.
Okay.
Little flat thin pieces like that. You don't have to. You can leave them in a little round ball if you want, but this will help when you put them on your press. You can also roll these with a rolling pin, if you're good with a rolling pin.
Right.
Some people have a hard time with a rolling pin.
So today we're going to show how to use a tortilla press, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Today we're going to use a tortilla press. And I learned how to make these here from my sister.
Oh.
And my sister, she married a cute little Mexican guy. And he had a great sense of humor. But his mother taught my sister how to make these. And when my sister would have like parties for his family, then she'd always call me up and say, come on over and help me. And I always got stuck making 300 tortillas, so.
That's a lot of tortillas.
To start with. So I have a lot of experience at making tortillas.
Okay, so.
All right, so now that's what they look like. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go over by the stove over there and we're gonna press them and toast them.
Exciting. All right, and so now that we have our prepared dough lumps, we are going to shape them into tortillas. So I have a tortilla press here. So Joanne told me that it is wise to use parchment paper in between the dough so that it will not stick to your tortilla press. So I'm going to lay down the first piece of parchment. Then I'm going to place my dough patty on the tortilla, put my second piece of parchment over that, shut the lid, and then I'm going to take the handle and close the lid as tight as I can to make a flat tortilla. It's a good workout. And then we should have our tortilla that is ready to now be given to Rebbetzin Joanne to cook on the griddle. There we go.
Okay, now we're gonna place this on the grill. We're gonna toast it on one side and then the other.
Okay, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, you can just keep going. I'll keep on. See how it's starting to, you can tell because see all in here where that's whiter,
yes.
There's already cooked. This is your raw part all in there that's darker.
Yum, I can't wait. Here's another one for you.
So depending on what size tortilla, if you want a larger size tortilla, then you have to have a much bigger ball of dough to put in the press.
I think this next one is a larger one, so I just wanted to show
See,
that.
now when it starts getting those little brown marks on it, then that means it's getting done.
Right.
Those little marks like that.
Awesome.
Will be done.
So what's that foil for?
Now I put it inside the foil to keep it warm. So, because tortillas, when you make them fresh, you have to let them cool very slowly.
Okay.
And because if you don't, and they cool down too fast, they get real hard and brittle like a cracker. So the idea of a tortilla is that you can roll it. So if you want to roll it, you have to keep it warm so that it's pliable so you can roll it. So you keep it in the foil until it is cooled down, and sometimes you make tortillas like I make stacks this high. Those tortillas will stay warm for like a half a day.
Oh.
Like if I make them in the morning, they're just nice to eat at dinner time.
Oh,
It's nice and warm.
Love
it. So.
Okay.
So when I'm cooking these, I usually get a little system, the first one, and I move it around, and so I know at what level these are being cooked. You know, this is the one that's the most raw, then the second one, and then that one. And so I always get a little system, but when I cook them at home, I have a big, long cast iron grill, so I throw a whole bunch on at one time.
You have a lot of hungry men to feed.
Yes, and I have sons that like to eat them, so they get to help me make them.
Nice.
And they're good at making them. And I usually do the pressing, and they do this part.
Oh, okay, so I'm doing your part.
But at times, I used to do all of this at one time. When my Well, my sons were smaller. I didn't want them burning themselves, so
Yeah.
I actually would roll it with a rolling pin and put it on there, roll another one, put it on there, turn that one over, roll another one. I had quite a little system going.
Well, there we go.
It's just, I mean, it's just how you want to do it. You could do one by one if you want.
Right.
Have a bigger grill, you can do a bunch of them at one time.
Right.
And get done faster. Then you get to eat them faster.
Awesome. All right, so now we are going to show you our finished and cooked unleavened bread, as well as the unleavened tortilla wraps. And you can put any type of filling that you want on these, such as peanut butter, like you would on matzah, Nutella, some kind of jam, cream cheese, or butter. And we also made some chicken salad to wrap our tortillas in. So I think you said you wanted to eat yours with the chicken salad, right? Yeah. So there's yours, and I'm going to give you a plate because we always have to try the food we made.
You always have to taste it. Good cook always tastes it first.
Yes. And I'm going to eat my unleavened bread with butter because that's my favorite.
So we put it in here like this.
Yum. I like a lot of butter.
So now we're gonna put these sides in, flip these two sides in, and then flip that side and this side. There, see?
Nice.
Now you got a nice little sandwich. Just said I'm gonna leave it cool down a little. I'll set it like that because it's a little hot yet.
Well, I'm going to take a bite out of mine.
But in the meantime, I will have a piece of unleavened bread.
Well, do you want it with butter?
I will have some butter.
Okay. There we go. There we go. All right.
All right.
Cheers.
Behind.
Mom, great job, Rebbetzin. So we want to thank you for joining us in another edition of Set Apart Cooking. We hope that this instructional video of our unleavened bread and our tortilla wraps are a blessing to you and that you get a lot of benefit from using this during the days of unleavened bread. Shalom.
Happy baking.